Welcome to the Awaken the Awesome podcast with your host, Olivier Day. This is Awaken the Awesome, a podcast where we acknowledge that we are all in this together. Through enlightening conversations and personal insights, we like to engage with individuals just like you who show us how they are bringing a little bit of awesomeness along their individual journeys. Our hope is to inspire you to always keep pushing and to stay awesome along the way. What defines a champion? Medals, trophies, the scoreboard, the endless training and practice sessions, the high-level expectations we put on ourselves, the ferocious dedication to our craft bred from a very early age through our family legacy, the clear sense of direction we've sharpened over the years? Or is it something else? I don't have the answers, but fortunately, through a journey marked by ambition, resilience, discipline, and personal struggles, my next guest, Neyssa Etienne, is firmly suited to provide a few. Having accomplished so much as a trailblazer for women's tennis in her native Haiti as a local champion, as well as on the international circuit all the way to the Sydney Olympics, a tip of the hat is certainly due. One could also say that old habits are hard to kill, as we were graced with Neyssa's dominating presence on the court as the only female player at the recent 2020 edition of the Profin Open Tennis Championship that took place last November. Indeed, when you decide to come out of retirement after more than 10 years, making a statement is undeniable. On this episode, Neyssa very candidly opens up about the critical role parents play in one's journey towards greatness, the importance of discipline, knowing your priorities, never backing down from a challenge, paving the way, and so much more. An incredible conversation, which I do hope you'll enjoy. So let's get into this. Awaken the Awesome, episode 148 with Neyssa Etienne. Here we go. Well, I have to say, it has to be a very fun-filled recording for me. I'm going to be right off the bat with this. This is kind of like really fun and giddy and emotional because, again, I like to say this to all the listeners, the randomness of life. If you just go out there and you just like pay attention to the randomness of stuff that happens around you, you have no idea who's going to end up on the receiving end of your podcast. For me, this is a lot of fun to welcome someone who we do have a shared past in regards to, I used to go to summer camp and we shared, to the same tennis academy that was coached by our father. And we're definitely going to get into that. But for me, it goes even deeper than that. It goes even recently, a couple of weeks ago, just before the holidays, I noticed on my Haitian feeds that there was a lot of talk about a certain individual who came out of retirement and actually went back on the tennis court because tennis in Haiti is actually, a very, not as prevalent as it probably should be, but this person has made her mark as one of the, forefathers or foremothers of tennis in itself, and has actually made her name. And her name goes around all the tennis circles back home, and her career speaks for itself. She is a champion. She is a role model. She is a mother. She is a definite example of what we should strive for in terms of our achievement and following our dreams, and also stepping back from them when sometimes we can notice that, maybe sometimes that it's important to, lay down the racket and, focus on what matters to us. So with all this and all the excitement, and you guys feel the excitement in my voice, Neyssa Etienne, thank you so much for accepting the invitation and welcome to the Awaken the Awesome podcast. It's a pleasure to have you.
Oh my God, it's a pleasure to be with you and awesome to catch up with you again. I mean, you're taking me way back to our childhood,
It's been a while just leading up to the episode because, it's fun because, again, it's a shared childhood and I have the best memories of Jotak. And for me, it's like, it's one of those chapters in your life that you just do not forget. It's one thing that, you, Olivier, Jean-Raphael, everybody, it was just like, it was a really, really, really fun times. And, I didn't pick up soccer. I didn't pick up basketball, but tennis stays with me. It just will not go away. I tried, but it just will not go away. So I get the same feeling, just looking at tennis matches I used to when I used to watch the Agassi days. But right now it's just like, just having you here and just having the opportunity to catch up. It's a lot of fun. So again, I'm really, really grateful for your time.
Well, likewise, it's a pleasure to be with you tonight and exchange stories, and Let's do this. It's awesome.
It was really, really random when that happened, as you know, that Instagram does, you know, and again, we all have, you know, shared, that's the thing about Haiti, like, you know, we're all over the place. So, you know, when you hear noise happening within your Haitian circles, you're like, huh, what's going on? And that's when, you know, I got wind of the Profin Open, basically, what happened a couple of weeks ago. And, you know, it's one thing to see, you know, tennis still trying, well, still, you know, being so active within the community. Because again, you know, like I said, soccer is still prevalent, basketball as well, but tennis has always been there. And it's always people like you who has always been, you know, holding the torch and keeping it alive. So I really appreciate that. But for me, what really stood out, and I'm not going to shy away from this, you being not only the only woman in the roster, that's one thing, but also, you know, you made two waves. So basically, you're the only woman in the Open. And second, you came out of retirement, out of like a 10 plus year hiatus. So there was a story there. I'm like, first of all, Neyssa still playing. Neyssa was retired. I didn't even know this. And second, why is she the only woman? I need to know this. But I really want to circle back because this is really what I want to start with. You know, really, with everything that you've achieved and, you know, having taken such a long hiatus, let's just call it what it is. What makes you get out of your own shadow? And you know what? Let me take up the racket and let me see what I got. How did it feel to step back on the court again?
Amazing. I must say, it felt amazing. I mean, of course, you're nervous and all because I must say, I guess, you know, me stepping out, like you said, of my hiatus, you know, people were looking forward to seeing me and also intrigued on seeing a woman play. So I must say the Profin Open did an amazing job in promoting the first match because, as you know, my first match was pretty quite, you know, difficult one against people, which, you know, in the tennis community, we all know each other, you know, everybody knows them. So, I mean, that was a little stressful, but I must say the experience, it was amazing. The adrenaline was amazing. But above all, what I must say, it's the love I got from everyone. It was just unbelievable.
Were you surprised?
You know? Yes, I was surprised.
How come?
You know, because I've been to, I don't know, I just did not expect it because I've been going to see, you know, a few of the matches the men play, you know, the finals and stuff. There were people watching, but wow, it was just this, it was packed. The last time I saw the stadium packed like that during the final was during Davis Cup. And you know how long we've had Davis Cup in Haiti.
It's been a while.
So I don't know. I was surprised, but it touched my heart. Really. It touched my heart because everyone was rooting for me and that felt good.
But rightfully so, because again, you've made a name for yourself. You made a career yourself through no fault of your own, but also you've championed it. You went after your passion, and you know it's a very small community, as you said. We all know each other, so you know when word gets around that Neyssa is getting back on the court, it's something to take notice. And you know, just throughout your own experience, okay, we're not going to bury the lead. Did she win? But that's not what's important. What were your takeaways? Like, you know, was it a great experience? Did you feel like, okay, maybe you could have played better overall? How do you assess your performance overall?
Well, overall, I mean, again, I mean, you're always going to look at, you know, the negative and how to get better for the next time, you know. Of
course.
And I mean, the one thing I'm going to say is that I'm no longer 15. That's the one thing, you know, because I have to admit, I got injured during the final while playing and I'm still suffering the consequences. So that alone tells you that your body is recovering, you know, is different than when you were younger. But the takeaway is that, you know, we all, no matter the age, you know, as long as you have the determination and the will to go out there and give your best and train and you know, do what you love, there's no limit. You know, you go out there and you just play. So to me, it proved to me that even if I had stopped for so long, that, you know, because I did put in the work, you know, the waking up early in the morning, the workout, you know, so, but it was satisfying, you know, it was amazing to see that for myself, you know, that I still have it within me to have the discipline to do what needs to be done in order to perform, you know, and it was amazing to see that my body did not let me down. And it felt amazing, you know, and now I just have to work harder, get my leg back, you know, on track. And next time, you know, try to go for the win.
And you know what? That's something that I applaud, because just hearing you speak about the determination, putting in the work, because, you've been around the circle before. So, if you're going to go to a championship level, you got to bring a championship attitude. So what does that say about, what was I'm curious as to what the conversation was like in your head when you realized, okay, I registered, I signed up, I'm going to do this. Because a lot of people could just cower down and say, hey, I haven't played in over 10 years. Why am I going to humiliate myself? Why would I get on the court? Like, there's people like, they're going to oust me. I'm the only woman. I'm talking to the people listening to us who come up with so many excuses just not to go, just not to take the chance, you know what I'm talking about, just not to take the chance, not to just find the best excuses to just cower down and walk away. What was that conversation like?
Well, to me, I mean, I always say, win or lose, you just go out there and give it your all. As long as you give it your all and you did everything possible to win, then that's all you can ask for. Because, in the life of an athlete, you're not going to win all the time. And it's the time that you lose, it's how you get back up. Those are the most important things. You are going to fall. You're not going to win all the time. In life, you don't. So you just have to know that you go out there, you just give it your all, do your best, and you just keep going every time. Simple as that.
What's your earliest memory? Because I know tennis runs really deep in your family, but I never think that, throughout all the conversation we had as kids, I never asked you that. How old were you when you started? Like, how far back does tennis go? Like, when do you remember you picking up your first racket?
Well, I don't think I remember picking up my first racket, but I know at 3 years old, I started playing, but my mom used to go to the club. Yeah, that early. But it wasn't like my mom was going there, so she just took me there, and I had my racket and I would go on the court. Some days I would play, some days I wouldn't play, but I started being on the tennis court at the age of 3. Yeah.
So it's never something that, because I'm talking, because again, as parents, I'm always looking, down at my kids. Okay, how am I going to stimulate, the game into them? Not just tennis, but any, athletic activity. So just coming from your perspective, such an achieved family, athletically speaking, how do you believe that we should, impose something on our kids? Like, hey, do ballet because you're going to do ballet, or do soccer because you're going to do soccer, or do tennis. Was that the kind of environment you go in? It's like, okay, let's see what she picks up. If she likes it, she likes it. If she doesn't, she doesn't. What would be your tips and how to best, help our kids pick up something, whether tennis or otherwise?
Yeah, I must say, I'm a strong believer in sport, no matter what sport it is. I believe sport gives kids a certain discipline in life, and I think it's important. So if you ask me, it is important to have your kids do something. For me, with my son, I was aware that I play tennis and I don't want to push him and force him into playing tennis. Sorry. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to introduce him to the game, but also not push him. And I must say that he plays with my dad. He doesn't play with me.
Wow.
Because I'm mom, and I see also with me, he tends to just want to clown around, just have, he's not serious when he's with me. So I'm mom. So I had to learn to step away, because the competitiveness of me, sometimes want to come on and be like, look how focus, do it right. So on that aspect, I am for him going to the sport. He plays with my dad. And me, I didn't want to only push tennis because, again, like I said, I don't want to impose it. So I had also enrolled him into soccer. So he was playing soccer as well, because to me also, I think it's important that a kid, when they're young, they need to do different things. So they need to find their way, they need to know what they like, what they don't like, because he might like soccer more than tennis, Unfortunately, if there was basketball of other sport in Haiti, maybe I wouldn't enroll him also. But for now, it's tennis and soccer. In order for him to have the ability to diversify, his knowledge of sports in general and see what suits him better. Okay, so that's my perspective. And for now, that's what he's doing. He likes both. I don't pressure on you have to do one over the other for now, because I think he's young. Later on in life, eventually he will have to choose one. If you want to do it correctly, you cannot do multiple things. You have to focus on one. So when you're young, I think you do need different things. I'm not saying 20 million activities, because I think some parents I hear they have piano, dance, karate, tennis. It's too much. I don't think they're gonna do any of them correctly. So you need to pick and choose and see the couples or three that the kids like, you know? So me, I'm for that. And I always said my kids are not going to be like sit at home on an iPad all the time. I am not that type of mother. To me, I feel like activities and sport is important in a kid's life, I think.
I was laughing when I heard you talk about competitiveness, because you were talking about you being competitive and trying to just like play because your son is playing with your dad. And I just have rewind of your dad, you know, just yelling at us. Like,
you have to see my dad now, okay? He's a softie.
Because your dad, from what I remember, again, really fondly, and you know what? He was on the court. He was all business. Like, okay, like during breaks, it was like water breaks, like joking around all the time. But the second we were on the court, it was all business, like 5 laps and like, you know, just knock the balls and just like, okay, hold your racket this way, serve, and then go do other 5 laps. It was insane. How much of that do you think has shaped, you know, your journey as an athlete?
Oh, everything. Because I mean, if it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't be here right now. If it wasn't for him installing that, you know, consistency and that determination, that discipline within me, I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have won my first ITF tournament or win any of the tournament that allow me to have this path through tennis. So when it comes to tennis, I owe everything to my dad. He's the one that, you know, that introduced me to tennis, taught me how to play, you know, was there day in and day out. So, you know, yes, you know, when you look back when you're young, like, oh, dad was so strict, waking me up at 6 a.m. on a Sunday. But today, seeing how disciplined I am right now with, you know, with my life and how tennis helped me become who I am today, especially in my time of needs, tennis is the one that helped me brighten my day and got out of it. I mean, I went to him, you know.
And see, that speaks a lot, you know, as you mentioned, we're both parents, and, you know, you talk about your experiences, you know, in your childhood, and, you know, speaks a lot in regards to perspective, I guess, when you go through stuff when you're a kid and you're like, oh, my parents are so unfair. But when you know, you look at the baggage and the value of what's instilled into you over time, makes you very grateful, doesn't it?
Of course. Yeah, it does. You know, and I must say too, I have my mom that made the balance. You know, my mom was there, you know, at home, because, you know, my dad being a coach was early morning, late at night. So my mom was there, you know, school, making us study, taking us to tennis. So they each had their, you know, played their part into shaping who I am today. You know, yes, my dad on tennis court, but my mom, you know, the mental aspect of it, you know, being the mom, the loving parent, if I may, you know, because you need both in your life. I think, you know, you need both. And my parents, you know, I'm since we're talking about tennis, I said my dad, but I mean, it's both of them, my mom and my dad, you know, because
I was always curious, you know, did you ever feel the pressure of being the coach's daughter?
The coach's daughter. I mean, did I?
So like, did you ever feel like, you know, you're like, because again, everybody's looking at me, so I better perform because they, you know, just putting in the summer camp, like, you know, when you say I have like, you know, mini matches or something, like, you know, because, you know, I'm the coach's daughter, so I need to outperform or something. Did you ever feel that pressure?
I never felt the pressure that I'm the coach's daughter, that I need to be better, because at the end, I mean, I think I saw all of us, I mean, I'm speaking for myself, but I feel like all of us, we were a big family, you know? So to me, I don't think I felt pressured in that way. Maybe more pressured because my dad wanted me to win. So maybe just pressure, just having to win just to please my dad. But I never thought about him being my coach, and if that makes sense. I don't know.
No, it makes sense.
Because I saw all of you as brothers, and, you know, we grew up like a family, know, and yeah, so I never felt pressured, oh, I'm the coach's daughter, because I think he was all of us coaches, you know.
He was.
It was just on the other side, he's my dad, so as my dad, I wanted to please him, if that makes sense, you know.
Makes total sense. I'm asking because sometimes, you know, because there is a younger audience that listens to the podcast, and sometimes, you know, I dealt with that also growing up, because, you know, we're at that chapter where we're trying to define ourselves and trying to figure out what we want, and sometimes we we're ashamed or something. We're a little bit scared to, just voice ourselves or be ourselves, and sometimes, again, from your perspective, being the champion that you are, sometimes it's nice to look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, am I that good? Okay, am I performing for myself? Am I performing for the appreciation or acceptance of my authority? Because I dealt with that in school. So that's why I was just asking the question. Did you ever feel that pressure over time? So
well, I mean, I see where you're coming from. I think at the beginning, when you're young, also you don't know who you are yet. I mean, you have an idea of who you think you are, but you're still learning. And I think for me, when it came to tennis, it really clicked for me. And where I was playing for myself, I don't know, I was happy and I felt confident. It clicked at 17 years old.
It did?
Yes. My last year of juniors. Wow. That's when, I don't know, all of it just clicked for me. Some people might say, wow, 17, it's late. I mean, that's when it clicked for me. Like I could just go out there and just perform and play for me, So it took me a while because don't forget, I left Haiti at 13. It was hard for me. I went to Panama, not speaking Spanish.
That was early. You left at 13 and you went to Panama. How was that, man? You didn't speak the language, did you?
No, I didn't, and I didn't speak English or Spanish. So that was tough. And as you can see in the Caribbean or America, there are very few countries that speak French. So I was the only French-speaking person. And, with everyone speaking Spanish and English. So that was a transition on its own because I had to learn the language. I went to an American school but everybody spoke Spanish. So, I mean, again, today I'm grateful for that because today I can have a conversation with someone in Spanish, And so, I try to take every positive thing. But what I'm trying to say is that, I had, leaving home at 13. So that was hard for me to find myself in a new place. Then the academy moved to the States. So, traveling abroad and all that. So it took me a while. Yes, my game was getting better. I was improving, I mean, yes, I put in the work. I'm just saying it just clicked for me at 17.
That is amazing. That is amazing. And you know what? It's so heartwarming to hear you say that in regards to, you want to elevate your game. And at some point, I'm pretty sure that you and your parents had the conversation where, Haiti cannot provide you with the structure or, with the means to elevate your game to the level that you need it to be. So, we should probably change your environment. And for a lot of people, trying to dip their toes into a new environment, the very frightening comfort zone, try to coach us. How do you deal with that discomfort? Because a lot of people don't understand that, your greatness lies outside of your bubble. And I'm wondering that's something that you experienced.
No, I mean, first of all, I think if I had stayed in Haiti already, competition, you need players, you need people to compete with, Mm-hmm. So already that there was a little, more competition abroad, constantly. And I don't know if you remember when I was playing, they used to have me play with the boys. So there were not many women playing at, my level.
Even back then, yeah.
Even back then. So there were women playing, but I was just better. So I remember my dad did that with Jennifer. Do you remember Jennifer?
I do. Mm-hmm.
Jennifer, he did that with Jennifer, and then he continued that tradition with me, playing with the boys. So I think to me, going abroad took my game to a whole nother level because tennis is not only tennis. I learned so many other things, that came, like some days, but that came after Panama. But some days my training was sitting at a table learning patterns, of tennis,
Wow.
So it opened my awareness of what tennis is about to a whole nother level, So for me, leaving was a great experience, and it's not easy. My mom, it was very hard for her because you're 13, you're still a young kid,
You're a kid.
So you're a kid. So my dad was for it. My mom, it took a lot of convincing, but eventually, like you said, we had to sit down and say, listen, we need to do what's best for her. She has the talent. Let's give her the opportunity and let's see where it goes. If it doesn't work out, then she can always come back. And that's where my journey went. It wasn't easy. My dad was for, my mom, no. So, but with a lot of convincing and talking and trying to see the pros and cons as a family, we decided that, let's take our chances. And I must say, and I do want to say that because, a lot of people think that when I say, I believe in sports too, I want to add to, being discipline and doing a sport correctly. My parents, I went to university in the States, and they didn't pay 1 cent for me. Why? Because of tennis. So sometimes people think, oh, why I'm going to play it to be a professional. No, it can open up doors for you. As you know, education is important.
It's
and
true.
Sometimes sport can be a way out also, or a way to facilitate you going to, university or college that you wouldn't be able to go to otherwise,
See.
So
There you go. Where the effort and the consistency. I love that word. I really do. That's like my word of like 2020, even leaning to 2021, because consistency is as people like to say, it's key. It's a major key. If it's not even about motivation. The work has to get done.
There's no cutout around it. It just has to get done. And consistency, like you said, is key to everything. If you want to change a habit or introduce a new habit into your life, you need to be consistent with it until it becomes a habit. You just have to do it. If you don't do it, it won't be done.
You're writing the next motivational book right now. Wow. It's amazing. It's amazing. So many things. So you transitioned from Panama, you went to the States, and that's when. So you went to the States, and
the academy itself, the academy that was in Panama, the academy moved to the States.
They moved to the States. Okay.
They moved to the States. Yes.
So over there, you were doing some championships as well, or were you just juggling both tennis and school at the same time? How did that work?
Yeah, well, the academy always had an agreement with a school where we would be able to travel because as a tennis player, tennis is a year-long sport, so we have to travel a lot. Mm-hmm. So we always had an agreement with the school we're working with in order to allow us to, work while we're on the road. And also, if say we miss an exam, we get to do it, on another day when we come back.
Okay.
So I was always doing that. And I must say that I switched academies. I was with the ITF. The ITF is the International Tennis Federation. We have to say they helped me out, travel with expenses and all throughout my junior career. And then I switched to Rick Macy. I made that move because, Rick Macy had trained, after juniors, you have to transition to professional. Mm-hmm. So there was a coach there that, I had, work. He'd seen me and sometime at your point in your life, you feel like you need to change. Things have been the same all the time. I needed a change in my life, a different perspective on the sport, Okay. So I switched and I went to Rick Macy's Tennis Academy. That was near the academy I was with. Mm-hmm. And with them, I tried, and I'm going to be real honest with you. I tried to do homeschooling. Well, I must say homeschooling was not for me.
Okay.
I had told my mom, and I have to say Rick Macy had the same agreement with a school also. Mm-hmm. But if I did homeschooling, I would be able to play more and, and have more hours on the tennis court. But,
right.
As you're Haitian, that education is very important to our parents, right? Mm-hmm. So giving that diploma was a must. And I must say, I am very disciplined, but I could not do homeschooling and work on my own. That was something that wasn't for me. And I was honest enough to pick up my phone and tell my mom, I'll never forget that day. If you want me to graduate, I suggest I go back to school. So what we did is I went through the program of the school that the academy was with. Okay. I still practiced before. So what my coach did, instead of going to the court at maybe 7 and 8, what he did was, you want to go to school, then you're going to be on the court at 5 a.m. So I did the same thing as if I was homeschooling. Tennis-wise and fitness-wise, we just did it earlier and later, So.
See, thank you so much. See, there you go. See, this is where I need you, please, as the disciplined person that you are, to lay it out for people who are listening to us, who need, again, because recently I've been very, very, not mean, but very open to people coming up with, I have no patience anymore for excuses. I put myself in the pool as well. Anyone saying that they do not have the means, times, or resources to get whatever they need done, whether it's write the book, lose the weight, seriously, you're waking up at 5 a.m. to go practice and then go to school and then make your dream happen. What can you tell us about the importance of discipline? See, this is a great example right there.
Well, I mean, now today I wake up at 5. because of that, I'm able to wake up at 5, give tennis lessons or do my workout or do my yoga at 5:30, and then go to work, come back home, play or do yoga or give lesson, and ice my back, stretch, and do all that. I mean, it's not easy, but that's what I want to do. So I find a way to do it because it makes my soul happy. I need that, and without it, it's part of me, what can I say? But you need to have the discipline, because I must say I struggle with my weight. Even though I was playing tennis, I did struggle with my weight a lot when I was a teenager, and it wasn't easy. And like you said, I mean, I did all the diet possible that you would think. And it's once I was ready, I did it, and it stayed off. I did it because no one can do a diet for you. You have to be willing to do it and do it yourself. And again, like I said, everyone goes through the ups and downs. Me, I love eating, and I went through a period when I was from 16 to 18. I gained a lot of weight, and it was hard to put it down. And once I was ready, I did it. I did it. And now today, it's like, it allowed me to just, when I want to do something, I know that I have to work hard at it and put in the work. If you put in the work, you'll have the results. But without it, you won't have nothing.
You'll find a way. If it matters to you, you'll find a way.
Exactly.
So proud of you, man. So proud of you. You've definitely, you've been a few places. You've been a few places. Roland Garros, Wimbledon, the Olympics. Yes. Have you ever, when was the moment where you realized, oh my God, tennis got me here? Or did you ever have those moments where you're just like, am I really at Roland Garros right now? Do you ever have a starstruck moment? Really? Just the Olympics, man. I'm just I'm shivering just talking about it. The Olympics. How did that feel, man?
Oh, there's no word to describe it. It's just amazing. It's unbelievable. You're surrounded by the best athlete of the world in every sport, and to me, being an athlete, it's like, I know each and every single one of us, we worked so hard to be where we are, because there's so many other people that did not make it. So it's the best of the best. And to be part of that that's why you work so hard for, to be there in these moments.
These are things that, and people seem to not understand.
They don't.
I want to drive this point home. Guys, it matters so much. If you're going to go after your dream, you need to double down and understand that it's going to take time. It's going to take sacrifice, because I'm sure it wasn't easy, Neyssa. I'm sure it wasn't easy.
It wasn't.
But when you have to come to the manifestation of what your efforts have brought you, center stage on one of the top athlete stages in the world, like the Olympics, Roland Garros, for your sport. And I'm just like, you know what? You can't, whether you make it all the way to the finals or you get eliminated, I don't care. This is the Olympics, man. You made it. You have earned your spot here on the greatest sstage of all. And that's something that really needs to tip your hat on. But we were saying this just off the air as we were previously recording, because again, I thank you for being so comfortable in talking about it, because you talked about the fact that, okay, your efforts can take you to great heights, but also you have to, be able to be very honest with yourself. And sometimes maybe the work, or sometimes when your batteries are drained, or you need to take some time off for yourself. A lot of people, especially when we're in that elevated championship dedication performance mindset, when you're always going 100% or even 120%, sometimes you realize that, your batteries are drained a long time before and you didn't notice, but you had the forethought to realize that, what? Maybe I need to hang it up. Because I was really interested as to what got us to this conversation, because you did retire, but I was wondering what led up to that, if you're comfortable talking about it.
I left Haiti at 13. Okay. Like I said, and I was day in and day out playing tennis every day of my life. So, and I have to say throughout college. So after college, I was just drained from tennis. I just didn't want to see a racket anymore. I wanted a break from it. And I just didn't know when I was going to pick it up again. I just said, I'm done with that sport. I just needed something new in my life. It was nice to just wake up in the morning and not have to work out at 5 a.m, But again, that was just a vacation, because again, at the end of the core of who I am, I'm still an athlete, So I must say I did not pick up the racket, but I did other things, you know. I tried doing, you know, step at the gym, tried to take classes, still stay active, but doing a different activity, you know, because I cannot not do anything. So, you know, I was enjoying myself. And I must say that my sister-in-law, she had, you know, her kids, she wanted them to play tennis with me. So I started coaching kids, you know, I started coaching kids. So at least I was still on the tennis court, but without competing. It was a nice feeling, having no stress, but still, you know, installing the knowledge of the sport that you love so much into a new generation, you know? So that was nice to, you know, to have a breather, you know, to just see life differently, you know, as a, I'm not going to say as a spectator, but not as a competitor, you see? So it was just easy, you know, I was working and doing that. So I was just enjoying taking vacation because I've never had vacation. My vacation was, you know, come home, see my family and then go back to work. Now I could take vacation, like go to, I don't know, New York and not have to stress. So it was a nice break, you know, but then the earthquake happened. Then my lesson stops and, you know, life kind of changed in Haiti. So you go through your ups and downs when you no longer have your, you know, when you're an athlete, you're constantly competing and that's what you wake up and do. I woke up a little lost, you know, not having tennis anymore, no tennis lessons. It was a tough time, you know. Then I got pregnant with my son and, you know, like I told you, he was born prematurely, but throughout my pregnancy, it wasn't easy. So, you know, I had to leave Haiti in a hurry to give birth in the States. He was born 2.5 months early. Wow. Then 4 months with a machine and, you know, going back and forth for checkups. So I decided after we came back to Haiti after 6 months, because we got the okay from the doctors that I was not gonna get a nanny. I'm the one that's gonna take care of my son. So I wasn't working. I was taking care of him, but I had something keeping my mind busy, you know? So, you know, you go down and then you had something that happened that kept your mind off of why you were down. So once my son started going to school and I found myself no tennis lessons, no job, it was a tough time. You know, I was really lost. And slowly I started going to the club, walking, going, you know, I wasn't even working out either. It's like I was off for a little bit. And then I was like, no, you know, you need to keep going. So I started walking at the club where my dad was coaching. So just being around tennis again, you know, because I was walking the golf course, but tennis was present. I started giving lessons again, you know, so that was nice to be back on the court. And then, you know, one thing led to another. As my son got older, I started taking him to his lessons. And then now I start seeing, you know, the Jean-Luc and Joël playing. And I decided to, you know, give it a try. And, you know, I'm not going to say I was going off then, but it started like maybe once every 2 weeks and once a week, you know, and then slowly I started. And then in November 2019, that's the day I said, boom, I need to be back on the court. And my journey back to tennis was there. And I must say today, I've never felt so good within.
It's nice.
Never felt so good.
It's amazing. It's amazing. There's confetti and fireworks and high-fiving going on right now virtually. It's a very heartwarming feeling because I thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing your story with us, because a lot of people need to understand that, you know what, even if you're a high performer, even if you want that dream, sometimes it's important to always look within, as you said, to, you know, just really assess where you are. And if you need to take a break, it's okay. If Neyssa can actually take a break, it's okay. And you need to focus on your priorities. You know, for you, it was your son. And a lot of people, unfortunately, sometimes they say, no, I want this dream. I want this dream. I want this dream. I need to go. I need to make this happen. Like, I'm okay. And sometimes to their detriment. But you took the responsible choice, because I don't hear regret in your voice. I really don't. You know, it's something that you made fully and heartily. And of course, you came out the other end, even a bigger champion right now. It's an amazing feeling. But I thank you for sharing that, because it's a great example to people listening to us who need that little bit of reassurance of comparison, showing that, you know what, it's okay to take a break. it's okay
Yeah.
to pull the plug and reassess what matters to you. I'm
No,
so
it
proud of
is.
you for that.
Thank you. And I must add one thing too, because
Please.
you know, a lot of people, you know, I started in November 2019, and then COVID happened in Haiti. And my husband and I, you know, seeing what was happening around the world, so I just picked up the racket again for me. And then we decided that we're going to put ourselves in confinement. And I stayed in confinement for 3 months. And it was, the first 2 weeks were tough, but I have to say, I always try to look at the positive of everything. And I don't know if anyone is listening, or because I know COVID is hard for a lot of people. Haiti, we're not closed like the rest of the world that is closing right now. But I've always wanted to do yoga. And I must say, I started doing yoga. And today, yoga is part of my life every single day now, on top of tennis. But yoga helped me realize that we need to live in the moment. We cannot control what's happening around us, and let's tap within us while, you know, for me, while working out, but also finding that peacefulness inside. And I must say, yoga for me was such a great addition to my life, right? It's incredible.
Really?
And not to say how it's helped me on the tennis court also, now that I'm back. Amazing. I do yoga every single day of my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, now I'm sold. I'm curious. I do my little workouts at home, you know, I just like, cause, you know, and even shoveling snow is all I work on and stuff. But, you know, just hearing you talk about yoga, I was like, okay, man, I feel energized. Okay, maybe I should try yoga. Okay. I'm just writing down, okay, YouTube, yoga. Let me do that.
And no, it's amazing. But again, you know I'm a little disciplined. So I was at home. I didn't know what to do. Nowadays with YouTube, like you said, YouTube is my coach. But what I would do, and I would suggest people to do that if they decide to try on that journey, that path, is to film yourself. Mm-hmm. So you get to see how you're doing the exercises. So you can do it better, you know, and better. And if you're doing it wrong, because you're not going to see yourself, you know, if you're not filming. And then that's what I did. I started doing that, filming myself. And every time, okay, I did this wrong. Next time, let's do this better and better. And then now it's unbelievable. But I'm talking mentally, physically. It's just one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Wow.
To introduce yoga into my life.
Nice.
For real.
Wow. I had, I know we're coming out of the top of the hour. I don't want to keep you. I know it's getting late. I just had 2 last questions though. Still ahead. Circling back to the finals. Of course, if people want to check out the match, go on YouTube. I will link it to the episode once they go live, but I have to bear the lead. Okay. You didn't win, but when Kako gave you the mic to actually just say your parting words and words of thanks to the championship and stuff, you could have done just like, you know, hey, okay, thank you for everything. But the way you said, I came back for the women, for the girls, okay, from the culture that I grew up in, because we're not going to hide from it. Haiti is a still very male-centered macho society. Yeah. So those words, and I don't mean that condescending, but unfortunately we have to own our culture. We have to own who we are. And I know I have a responsibility towards my daughter to be a better man for her. But just hearing you say that as the sole woman on the championship, you know, that was really heartwarming. But just opening up the floor, how can we do better for our little girls? How can we do better for the women? And, you know, how can we open up to, is it, you know, the fact that tennis is not accessible to women, or they're afraid? How can we do better, Neyssa? Just opening up the floor, just a random question, just like that.
Yeah.
How do you feel about
I just think, as you know, you're Haitian parents, especially nowadays, they don't push kids, women, you know, they have a girl, automatically they go dancing. You know, they don't think about a sport for the girls. And I just think that, you know, parents, it starts with the parents. It's the parents, you know, when you're 3 years old, it's the parents that decide where the kids goes first, you know? And I just hope that seeing me perform and play shows them that, you know, we women, we can play and we can compete with the men. It's only them that can play sports. We can. And we can beat them and we can do better, you know, and we can compete with them. And some girls, they don't want to dance. They want to play tennis. They want to play sport. And I think we should encourage it. you know, and to me, it was so heartwarming. I'll never forget the girls, they're girls playing now, and they were watching me play. And when I want to see how they were happy for me, it's just amazing. And I just hope that me being back on the court can just empower girls to just go out there and pick up the racket and go play, because you can play. Sports is for everyone, no matter your gender. You can.
Wow. And the mic drops. Man, it's you don't see me right now, but I am grinning because it's a very sincere privilege to be able to share this space with you, Neyssa, because you know this is all about what we try to promote on the program. Just try to take, you know, little nuggets from someone's particular journey, you know, through the, like you said, you know, the peaks and valleys, the ups and downs. We all go through some stuff, but you know what? There's always a little bit that we can do, you know, pick from our own stories, and if it can help someone going forward. I really, 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 really want to thank you for this amazing time. And it's a privilege. I really want to thank you for your time, because time is precious. And I say that all the time. But for me, it was both a thrill to catch up with a friend and, of course, an honor to have you on as a guest. Thank you so much for being here.
Likewise. I'm so happy to talk to you. It's amazing. It's, you know, taking me back to our youth, great time. And you know what? 25 years later, it's like as if we've seen each other.
Things don't change. Like, you know, some memories stay with you and they die hard.
Exactly. It's a pleasure to be with you.
We have a running tradition on the podcast. The last question is always an open floor question to the guests. Just like, it's not even a question. It's like, you know, a particular quote, a sonnet, a favorite song lyric or something. I call it anything someone can wake up tomorrow and pick and use as a next step towards their next level, whatever it might be. What would you give them as a word of wisdom?
Word of wisdom is wake up. You need to, okay. I say, you know, positive energy. Wake up every day. Try to find one thing that you want to accomplish, but one positive thought, and just go with that.
Nice. Wow. Some people come up with it's so simple and yet so powerful. Thank you so much for that. Wow. I really appreciate you, man. Seriously. If any of the listeners, you know, following this recording want to connect with you on the interwebs, any particular place we can connect with you?
I'm on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Instagram is better.
Yeah, Instagram. Okay. That's the only place. Twitter. Also, I need to go back on it, but I don't really go on it. But I'm on Twitter and Instagram.
Okay. So I'll link that up on the blog post once it goes live. Not a problem. So I'll make sure that everybody has the links. Neyssa Etienne, I can't say anything more. Amazing individual, terrific mother, go-getter champion, accomplished individual, and a woman of so many accolades. I can't thank you enough for your time, Neyssa. Guys, if you want to connect with Neyssa, make sure to check out the blog post yet again, awakentheawesome.ca, when the episode goes live. As always, if you find some value or worth into this episode, please make sure to share it. All the platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Instagram, you can always tag us. It's a pleasure to always be able to serve you on this journey. Stay blessed, stay safe, and as always do, stay awesome. This has been another episode of the Awaken the Awesome podcast. We always love to get your feedback, so please do drop us a line via Instagram, Facebook, or email. Our email address, awakentheawesome@gmail.com. Do visit our official website at awakentheawesome.ca, where you can find our entire back catalog of episodes and incredible guests. Also, if you haven't already, please hop on over to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, give us a rating, and leave us a review, as this helps us tremendously in growing this podcast and spreading the word to more awesome listeners like you. We always appreciate your support, and thank you for listening. Stay awesome.